Hey, welcome to Diablo 4 patch rundown for patch 1.1, where everything is less. Less stats, less damage, less tankiness, less skill usage, less experience points, less fun. And did I mention less fun? And by the way, this is only gonna be 1.1 rather than Season 1 itself, as that is another whole creature on its own. And I really want to rant about how badly things are starting out even before the actual release of Season 1 happened. Because that's how it currently is for Diablo 4. If there's one issue, there is gonna be another one on par or maybe even worse. Oh boy, Blizzard Games sure like to live it up with its track record, don't they? If this is how they want to market Season 1 for Diablo 4 as, might as well call it the Season of Disappointment. Because how big of a disappointment this patch turned out to be, even before Season 1's release recently. How fast they can kill someone's excitement for the season, even before it started. And just as I was saying how great and fun Diablo 4 is turning out to be a month into its release, they go ahead and throw my hopes and dreams of a better and improved game out of the window. Am I being melodramatic? Am I overreacting? Am I already being too negative even before trying out the season itself? Of course I am! The reason I play games is to have fun in the first place. To distress, to enjoy myself, and well, this is the opposite of that. Do you really think that reacting this way is unwarranted? Let's be honest, am I being negative about all of these changes? Well, yes, but no. I am reacting in proportion to the amount of changes that was released. I mean, with all of this shenanigans that is happening, do you really expect me to be happy about it? Now, here we are, all classes are nerfed and barely any decent builds to go for. Well, if you're not playing Seasonal Realm, I mean. Kinda funny that the main reasoning apparently behind the current nerfs is to diversify the builds people go for. Except what the current patch did is to make the top tier meta builds the only way to actually play, and pretty much killed whatever fun or semi-viable builds you could make in previous patches. Overall, patch 1.1 in the Eternal Realm pretty much ensured that all builds get weaker. You deal less damage just by existing, making weaker builds deal even less damage than before. And while some of the targeted class nerfs aim to lower the power level of its most used builds, it's not nearly enough to dethrone said meta builds, and thus far making them only the working build. So instead of making an even playing field for each class and builds, now we have an even bigger gap, not only in power level but the satisfaction you get from playing. Why play any other Necro builds, for instance, when Bone Spear Necro deals insane amount of damage and gets the job done while allowing a semi-satisfactory way to play? While the other Necro builds fall flat in comparison. Why play Sorcerer? Seriously, why play Sorcerer at all? They were the weakest class in the first place and they only got weaker. Makes you wonder if the devs even play their own game at all. Or are they just looking at some spreadsheet and basing what to nerf on the most used skill aspect or affixes? There's a reason why Devouring Blaze is a staple on pretty much all Sorcerer build. Using the Firebolt enchant to apply burning to enemies, it's pretty much the only way to be almost on the same power level as other classes. But even then, that's barely enough. But the nerfs made sure that the already mediocre damage Sorcerer deals is even worse than before. Not to mention, Sorcerers even go as far as to make use of multiple defensive skills and cycling through their cooldowns because of how squishy they are. The only way to ensure that they don't die in the first place. But with the cooldown reduction nerfs, well, that pretty much ensures that there's no survivability to be had. As the armor and damage reduction nerfs just make it so that you get one-shotted before your skills come off cooldown. Why are the Diablo 4 devs so intent on making the game less fun and less satisfying to play? I have no freaking idea. And don't tell me crap that it's for the long-term health of the game when the current state of the game is pretty much going down already. Don't tell me, oh, it's gonna be better and there will be improvements, I promise. That's already been said before that they are improving the game. And this patch, sir, is not an improvement. Even makes the belief behind the season thing they posted seem to be like a huge joke. It's really baffling on why they decided to release this whole patch of nerfs that nobody even asked for when there's actual game-breaking bugs that are still in the game, like how resistances don't even work properly, rendering them pretty much useless. VRAM leaks, that's been in the game since release. how for some odd reasons, health tides just keep on breaking patch after patch. Then there's also the changes that could massively improve the game if implemented, that people are actually asking for. More loot stashes, search function in the stashes, a dedicated gem bag, and now with the release of Season 1, maybe a dedicated caged heart tab? A dungeon party finder of some sorts, and please, for the love of all things holy and unholy, some kind of way for your character to auto-loot gear other than gold. Even if it's just for legendaries or gems, or maybe some kind of potions that make you auto-loot, since potions are only really used for their XP buff, but almost never for resistances since they don't even work properly, right? Patch 1.1 just literally made the game worse. And we haven't even touched upon the fact that besides all of these damage nerfs and armor nerfs, came the monster buffs out of nowhere. Not only you deal less damage against enemies, making killing them take longer, you also receive more damage, which more often than not will one-shot you. What is this really? You can't even justify the nerfs by saying that the new seasonal changes, aka the Caged Hearts, is overpowered, necessitating said nerfs to be released, since this affects even the Eternal Realm, which won't receive said seasonal changes. If this was really for the season, then isn't it possible to just include these changes into the seasonal realm itself? Or if the current power level is way too strong going into the season, maybe they could just make it so that the mobs in the seasonal realm are stronger, especially the malignant ones. Or maybe they just scale based off your current caged heart equips, rather than nerfing the overall experience that all realms have. Maybe the neurotic, conspiracy-loving part of my brain is overthinking and speculating too much. But it feels like they're forcing you to play the season. Because if you play onto the Eternal Realm, you're probably gonna have a bad time. And you won't be experiencing the same power level pre-patch. And with how vocal the community seems to be with their dislike of the patch, it seems like they would rather skip the season rather than forcing themselves to play a game which doesn't feel fun or satisfying at all. Because that's what it is, unsatisfying and disappointing to say the least. I'd go as far as say that maybe they should have just released the season without releasing patch 1.1 changes, even though that would mean that releasing the season way earlier. Seriously, what does the new season even add at this point? It would be like playing pre 1.1 with the only addition of reskinned enemies and dungeons surrounded by weird effects. I feel like at this point I'm just lashing out with how disappointing patch 1.1 is turning out to be, with the game suddenly turning out to be worse with just the release of a single patch. But hey, I guess if we are gonna give the devs the benefit of the doubt, only by trying out the Season 1, the Season of the Malignant will tell us if the nerfs are necessary in the first place. I'll probably still try it out myself for a couple of days since I've only been recently going through the intricacies of the game myself before all of this craziness went down into the game. So hey, that's my rant. Thank you for listening. I might end up doing another rant in regards to Season 1 after trying it out for myself. So feel free to disagree and rant out down into the comments below. Have a wonderful day, be safe out there, and have fun. Bye!